All right, let's get practicing in QuickBooks Online. Grab the link below in the description so that you can follow along. All right, here we are in the QBO gym, and the QBO gym is a place where we have numerous exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Every single month, we come out with new exercises and new scenarios for you to practice your skills and complete, and we break it down for you into 4 different sections. So today we are going to be working in the September cooldown section. At the top here is a little video that tells you what's going on in Craig's business that month. He is our fictitious business owner. Further down is an interactive quiz to test your knowledge on what you know based off of what you just watched in the video. And then further down are all of the exercises within this section. So today we are going to wrap up the cool down section by practicing running Craig's reports. You will need to be in the sample company. If you're not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, just click on the link below in the description. So our scenario today is that after you have reconciled your bank statements, it's time to run reports. Craig has now been in business about 4 months, and he asks that if you will review the P&L with him to see how things are going so far. So let's prepare for the meeting with Craig. To get that report going, we need to go into the report center. So in the left-hand nav bar, we're going to click on reports. Here I am in the sample company. This is the dashboard. Over on the left-hand nav bar, here is reports. Go ahead and click on that, and you will see the report center open. So in the business overview section, we're going to click on the profit and loss by month, since he wants to look at it for the last 4 months. So let's go ahead and click on profit and loss by month, and you will see the report has already been run for us. We're going to start by just looking at the main categories. So in the upper left-hand corner of the report, we're going to click on collapse. This will just help us kind of see it a little bit easier. Just those main categories. So once you hit that collapse, you can expand, collapse. Go ahead and collapse it so that it kind of reduces it's a little more of a high level report for us. So we are starting with the P&L report by month because looking at 1 month really doesn't tell us much. It's helpful to look over time to see if the financials are looking better or worse and why. So let's take a look at the screen and highlight the most important components of this report. The first part here is this total income. This portion shows the money that Craig made and how much he made. It's been increasing month over month, which is positive, and that is that line right over here. The cost of goods sold or services sold. This line represents the costs that are directly related to the goods and services Craig has sold. This line helps us understand how much it costs Craig to deliver a good or service. These costs increase as revenue increases and decrease when revenue decreases. So here is that cost of goods sold right there. The gross profit is the total income minus the cost of goods sold, gives us the gross profit. So the gross profit is right underneath there that we can see. Then we have the total expenses. These are expenses that are important to the business, but not directly related to specific products or sold, or services delivered. So our total expenses is right down here. That is that line at the bottom or towards the bottom. And then the net income is the gross profit minus expenses. So Craig's net income last month is negative, and that could be a concern. So where's the net income right here? It's showing as a negative right here. So we are going to just take a look a little bit closer to that. As a note here, the dates in the sample company are always changing. So what you see on the screen may be slightly different than what we are doing in this exercise. So just kind of keep that in mind as we are going through this. So as we consider the report, we have to ask ourselves, do these numbers make sense? If a number is negative, do we know why? In preparation for this meeting with Craig, there are a few questions that we want to explore. For instance, Craig's net income last month is showing as negative. What are the other expenses and how might those be contributing to the bottom line? The line item for pest control services is showing as negative. If this is a service that we are selling, shouldn't Craig be generating positive income from it? Also, there's no labor cost showing anywhere in the P&L. So Craig has 2 employees listed in QBO. So why aren't they being paid? Is he going to take a salary for himself? All different kinds of questions that we need to be asked. And one final one is, what is included in miscellaneous expense? Let's take a deeper dive into that particular section first. Miscellaneous is kind of a catch-all category that is used when we don't know what category to put something in. But business owners should always know what they are spending their money on. Not only will this help them make future decisions, but it is important for tax time. So let's take a deeper dive to see what this looks like in Craig's account. In the miscellaneous expense, we're going to click on $2,666. So miscellaneous expense is this one right here, this 2,666. Go ahead and click on that so that it expands and gives you a little bit more detail of what's in that category. We're going to switch it over to classic view so that we can see the entire report on one screen. So go ahead and click on that button that says switch to classic view. And now we can see everything on this screen. You will see that there are 2 bills that are showing up in this miscellaneous expense. Neither of them should be categorized as miscellaneous though. For instance, the first transaction for Tim Phillip Masonry is most likely a payment for a custom rock fountain. We'll need to confer with Craig to confirm that this is the case, but for now, let's just assume that it is and address it as is. So let's go ahead and click on the 666. So here's that top line for Tim Phillip Masonry. Go ahead and click on 666 to expand and see this particular bill. In the category field, we're going to change it so that it's job expenses, job materials, fountain and garden lighting. So let's go ahead and click into this. We don't want miscellaneous, so click into it 2 times and start typing in fountain and garden lighting. Okay, so there's 2 different ones, which means one's the income account and one's the expense account. So let's go a little bit further. Let's go through scrolling. So job expenses, job materials, fountain and gardening. Job expenses right here. Job materials is that sub account, and then fountain and garden lighting here. So I'm going to click on that. And the reason that I did that scrolling is because I mentioned that one is an expense account and one is an income account. They are labeled very, very similarly. It's easier if in real life you label things a little bit differently. So it's easier for you to discern which one would be like an expense account or an income account. So that's why I kind of scrolled through to make sure that I was getting the parent account, the sub account, and then the final sub account of fountain and garden lighting. So just a little quick note there as to why I did it that way, and why it's really important in real life when you're doing a client's books to have the chart or different accounts labeled slightly different, so it's easy to understand which one you are looking for. So now we just simply need to save and close this because now that has been categorized properly. Click on the green Save and Close button. It's going to ask this little give you this little warning that says the transaction you are editing is linked to others. Are you sure you want to modify it? And the reason that it's doing that is because the bill has already been paid and it's linked to that particular payment. But since the payment amount is not affected by our change, we're only changing the account, it's okay to modify it. So go ahead and click on the green Yes button. Just right here, click on that. And now that has been saved, and you can see that it has been pulled out of that miscellaneous because we have correctly categorized it. So that one is categorized, like I said, properly. So the remaining transaction is a large payment from the insurance company. I think it's how you say it, Brosnahan. If I pronounced that incorrectly, my apologies. But for this insurance agency. So you suspect that this large insurance payment may be the premium for the entire year. If that's the case, it should be considered as a prepaid expense, similar to what we had learned how to handle in a previous exercise. So each month, an amount of 1/12 of 2,000 would be recognized as an actual expense to cover the insurance cost for that particular month. So it's for entire year, prepayment for the whole year. You break it down into 12 different months. That's why it's the 1/12. So we'll need to ask Craig about this at the meeting to confirm that this is in fact the large insurance payment is the premium for the entire year. But you want to see for yourself how the financials will be impacted by if the insurance expense is reclassified so you can show Craig why it is important. So let's click on the 2000 so that we can pull up that particular bill. Click on the 2000 here on that amount, and the bill for this one is going to show up. In the category field, we're going to select prepaid expenses and then save and close it. So click into the category 2 times. If you start typing in prepaid, you will see it appear here, prepaid expenses. Go ahead and click on that. And then we are going to, like I said, save and close. So that is the green button down here, save and close. Again, it's going to ask if you want to modify it because it is being linked to others. Go ahead and click on the green yes button. And now that bill has been saved, and you will see there are no more that are showing as the miscellaneous expenses. That's why it's showing this way. So we need to see what happened with to the P&L report. So we're going to go back to the report summary. You need to click on the link, the blue link up here that says back to report summary. Go ahead and click on that, and you will see it all appear. Now, if you look at that miscellaneous, that 2,666 that was there before is no longer appearing because, again, we recategorized everything. We're going to go ahead and expand it. So if you scroll to the top, if it is not already expanded, go ahead and click on that. It shouldn't be expanded because it was already collapsed. Go ahead and click on expand right there. All right, so you need to scroll down to the report to see the bottom half. So let's go ahead and do that because we want to look at the expenses. The income is at the top, the expenses are underneath that. So here, am I at the expenses? Yeah, expenses down here. So we're looking at the bottom half of the report here. You will see how the job materials now reflects the $666 that was spent with Tim Phillips Masonry. While the category is now correct, it doesn't affect the bottom line. So here is that fountain and garden lighting under job expenses, job materials, fountain and garden lighting. There's that 666 that we were just talking about. More importantly, now that the insurance expense has been recategorized to the balance sheet account, the net income is now positive for this particular month. So here I am in 666. Everything is looking positive, which is great. The result of changing one expense is significant. So this situation is important to resolve fully with Craig so that the insurance payment is handled properly and the financials are an accurate reflection of Craig's situation. So we're going to scroll back up to the top and we're going to collapse this. This step will make it a little bit more manageable to look at all the other aspects of the P&L. So let's go ahead and scroll back up and then we're going to collapse it. Just click on the collapse button and now it's just pulling everything together. So we're just seeing the main categories. It's a much more high level look at the report, which is good for us when we're doing these next couple of steps. So another issue to discuss with Craig is pest control. It appears that he's losing money on it, so let's look at it a little bit closer. In the pest control services line, we're going to click on the one that says negative $30. So pest control services right here for the current month is showing as, for last month, excuse me, is showing as negative $30. So go ahead and click on that to see what it is going to see what pulls up here. We're going to again switch it to the classic view so that we can see all of the transactions on one screen. And as a bookkeeper, you will find which one you prefer. Intuit's giving me a little feedback survey. If you happen to get that, go ahead and click out of it. But having the classic view, for me personally, I like seeing everything on one particular screen, but you may find as a bookkeeper that you prefer the modern view. So it's just whatever your preference is. But for these exercises, it definitely, I want to have everything on one screen as we're talking through it. So, looking at the specific transactions, it's clear that Craig refunded money to Pies Cakes because the pest control services were ineffective. There's also a credit on Amy's account for pest control services, suggesting that maybe a partial refund to compensate for a problem. So, the end result is that Craig is losing money on that pest control services. So, here we are. Here's that Pies Cake that refund there, and then for Amy's Bird Sanctuary, originally, or no, the $100 refund. So you'll want to raise this with Craig and ask if there's some other benefit to offering pest control. Perhaps customers only want to use gardeners who can also handle pests that are ruining their gardens. If there aren't any benefits, though, then Craig may want to consider no longer offering this particular service. So it's good to kind of see like a little bit more detail so that when you have this meeting with Craig, you know exactly what to bring up and make some suggestions based off of the numbers. So we're going to go back to the report summary again by clicking on that blue link. Scroll to the top here, that back to report summary, click on that so that we are back here where we were before. Finally, you will notice that there's nothing specific about labor expense being noted on the P&L. Normally, it would be underneath cost of goods sold for a service-oriented business like landscaping, where the labor directly works on the projects that generate the income. It might make sense that with a new business, Craig isn't taking a salary right now. But in the future, he will, and that's something that he needs to start thinking about as his business continues to grow. More concerning, though, is that Craig has two employees listed in QBO. So is he paying them cash? How are they getting paid? And that would be a serious concern as income paid to employees must be reported to the IRS. So it's a topic that you're going to need to explore with him a little bit more in the meeting and figure out what's going on there. So, what happened to that big insurance payment that we had recategorized? It's going to show up on the balance sheet. So, let's go take a look and see where that is. We need to go back to the report center. So, to do that, we're going to click on the blue back to report list. So, scroll back up here to the top. You see this back to report list link. Go ahead and click on that so that we are here in the report center. And then we want to click on balance sheet, which is in the favorites section. So click on that and you will see the balance sheet is being run for us. Now we need to take a quick review of this. On the assets portion of the balance sheet, we can now see the insurance payment appearing as a prepaid expense, adding to Craig's total assets. Once you confirm with Craig that this payment was for the whole year of insurance, you can create journal entries to spread things out to the correct expense accounts, and it will appear more accurately on the P&L when you do that. You can learn more about that and practice doing that if you go back to the May issue of the QBO Gym. So there are a few other things worth noting for discussion with Craig. For example, why are there all these undeposited funds? Did he deposit them and forget to tell you, or does he have a bunch of checks that are just sitting in his drawer? That's a situation that also needs to be resolved. So let me take a look at that right here. Here is that undeposited funds for $2,062.52. That's a lot of money that's showing in undeposited funds. So you need to check to make sure that where that money actually is. If it's actually deposited in the bank and it needs to be adjusted and recategorized, or if it is sitting in on his desk. And here is that prepaid expense that we were talking about with the insurance company, that $2,000. So, yeah, there you go. You will need to go over all of these things with Craig another day. And as you can see, there's a lot of in and outs that happen when you are working with clients and you need to talk through some of the financial statements. It's always good to be in good communication, as you saw with the undeposited funds, like what's going on with that. So yeah, it's super important having and maybe like a monthly check-in about these reports or going through these reports would be a good way to go. But there you go. There are some situations and what you may encounter as you're running reports for a client. And if you have any questions or want to know more about the QBO Gym, just go ahead and click on the link below in the description. We have finished the September QBO issue. Congratulations, you did a great job. Keep on practicing and honing those skills to be that expert bookkeeper that we know you can be. Look out for the October issue of the gym, and I will see you in those next videos.